Gwent, the legendary card game, WWE Unreal, and Skate. This is Staying In. I've started doing Christmas shopping.
Good.
Yeah, do you know what, Sam? I think it's good, right? But I'm routinely told, bit early, isn't it? And I never quite know how to handle that sentence. Like, well, no, right? Like I want to say to people, like, no, it's not too early. It's never too early to be prepared for this. Oh, well, okay, maybe it's a little bit too early in like July, right? But like, I've started figuring out, I throughout my entire year, I put together a list of things people might enjoy, and I put that onto a big wish list, a big list of notes. And
what's it say under me?
Well, that would be telling, wouldn't it?
You've never bought me a Christmas present in your life, so I just want to know.
He's been adding stuff to it for like 15 years, Sam.
And it's never the right time.
When I finally get you one, God, it's going to be good.
Something that I liked 10 years ago.
Yeah. Hey, don't you? I bought you this. It's a PS1 game, Peter. Yeah, don't worry about it. Like, you're going to love it. You said you really wanted to play Dynamite Heady. I've done it, but I hear from people, it's a little bit too early for me to be thinking about that. I'm thinking, it's November. We're recording this in November, right? And I'm thinking to myself, it's not too late. When is too early and when is too late to start doing Christmas shopping for people?
I think, Pete, the people who are saying that to you, that it's too early, have never known the joy of getting all their shopping done early and having to go up to Christmas knowing I don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything.
Absolutely.
Just enjoy it.
My wife gets it done like super, super early. Like she got pretty much all her shopping done this weekend just gone, which is kind of like the middle of November. And it was late for her. And she was getting a little bit stressed because she hadn't done it yet. But she's got it all done now. And now just relax until Christmas. And it's fine. Just a few little bits here and there. But you're not having to worry about buying loads of stuff and all that jazz. Lovely.
Just to be clear, just so we know the terms that I'm setting here, I'm not saying, you have to have all of your food ready for Christmas. I'm not saying that you have to have all of the decorations that you're going to have for Christmas, but I'm talking about gifts at Christmas, right? Like food, like sometimes you do need to do that a little bit later on down the line, right? I'll accept that. Not on the 24th of December. I will not accept that, but I will accept it slightly later on down the line. It's just, but you just think to yourself, just get the gifts now, get it done. Come on, if you can afford to do it now. Obviously, that's everybody's different, but like if you can afford to do it now, so you can just sit and enjoy the cheese board without the thinking, oh God, I really need to get on and do this.
This public broadcast has been brought to you by the Peter Willington Corporation.
Honestly, I will never be called up to do a TED talk, but I've got what I'm going to be doing.
you got one.
I like the fact that he's got it all written up, and actually it's about buying Christmas presents early.
Yeah. He's got his 12 minutes. I mean, the old adage was that everyone will get their 5 minutes of fame, and now I feel like it is everyone will eventually get their TED talk. And I just can't wait until we are at that point in the illustrious history of TED.
Game producer and former games journalist Peter Willington's TED talk on Christmas presents.
Everyone quiet. Let's hear what he has to say on this.
What quote do you think from a great Roman leader do you think you'll use to open up the TED Talk? Because that's, you always got to start with, as Caesar once said,
buy your Christmas presents early.
As Marcus Aurelius once said,
make the most of Black Friday.
I would say, I was always very much inspired by a few years ago, I read Marcus Aurelius, and he did say, he said that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. I would just add a little addendum onto that, and getting your Christmas shopping done early. Do you know, I can't keep a lid on it anymore. I need to talk to somebody. I actually need to talk about Skate, and I need to. I'm in such a I've been playing Skate for so
20
long
years.
now. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you say that, but man, actually, yeah. Like When did
Go on, when was the first Skate out?
Skate Wiki? Yeah, let me just quickly look that up. 2007. It is nearly 20 years of playing Skate. Holy moly! And the new one is
You
out.
still haven't convinced me.
And no, I know, and I don't know if I'm going to convince you with this one either.
So there was Skate 1, Skate 2, Skate 3.
Yes.
And then Skate went away for a little bit.
Well, I'm sorry, Sam. You're missing the fact that there was also the spin-off Skate series, Skate It, which was on Wii, Nintendo DS, and on iOS. And if you're asking me, did I play any of those? I did play the iOS one. It was not very good. The Wii and the DS ones used motion controls because that's how old we are talking about here. Like when motion controls were like, ooh, hello. But yeah, the first Skate was 360. In fact, actually, all three of the mainline Skate games were 360. PS3 and don't think the Switch wasn't around at that point, and the Wii U. Yeah.
What was sorry? What were the motion controls for Skate It? Was it like I want to do a heel flip and just flip the Wiimote in your hands on?
Yeah, that is literally
Just swing it around.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess so. You basically, again during that great era of trying to make things fit on Nintendo consoles, the DS version used the stylus to draw to flick effectively on the on the thing. Fine, kind of makes sense. And then the Wii version, you would use the remote. So
did the iOS version have I might be imagining a different skateboarding game. Did the iOS version have a thing where you would use your two fingers as almost one foot on the skateboard, one next to it to kind of push you along?
That wasn't from Skate. That was a game called Touch Grind. There was also Touch Grind 2. There's also been things like True Skate and a bunch of other games as well that have actually done much, much better. But those games actually worked really well. The Skate It wasn't very good on mobile, mostly because they tried to replicate the whole thing rather than, your finger on the board and move it, sliding along on the floor and all that sort of stuff, which I think the other Touch Grind and things like that were much, much better at. And I'm sure you can probably tell, listener, but I think Dan and Sam know this about me. I really love extreme sports games. I love skateboarding games in particular. I've played them for a very long time. Tony Hawk's all the way through. The really weird stuff that people probably haven't played that much of, Thrasher, Skate and Destroy and Grind Session. I've been playing a game called Session, which is more a recent game. It's a game called Scare XL, which I really, really loved. But Skate was really the one that, especially that first Skate, that first Skate was absolutely incredible. Skate 2 took it to a completely new level. And then I think you and I played that quite a bit. And then we also played, Sam, you and I played Skate 3 a fair amount as well, I seem to remember.
We had our own gang. Were they gangs? Club or something.
I want to say crew, but
crew.
You know what? I think of it as a gang.
You and your skater boys.
Yeah, or we would skate past and say, "See you later." So basically, God, that just showed my age a lot. So anyway,
I'm quite impressed.
So basically, skating games have been really formative for me, and the Skate series is really, really important. And this new Skate game is basically Skate 4. It's like a soft reboot of the Skate series, and it is still from your friends and mine at Electronic Arts. It is not from Black Box, which was the studio that originally put that thing out, the original Skate games. That is because Black Box got shuttered. I think they got turned into a Battlefield DLC company, and then they basically just got shut down. This one is actually from a company called Full Circle, which my understanding is that there are people who did make the original, the first three Skates, who are on that team. And so you end up with, everything here has got a good mix of, the potential for this to be really, really amazing. And I've been playing this since it came out in 16th of September. I wasn't lucky enough to get onto the early beta, though I signed up for it. Currently, the game is in early access, and it is, and here's bullet point number one that might make you grab onto your chair. It is free to play.
Whoa!
Whoa, my chair! Whoa! Whoa!
Always the sign of a really good game.
So I've been playing it since September. Deliberately not talk too much about it because like I've been trying to like figure out if I actually like this version or not. And I think I've come down on the side of I really do like the new Skate, but it comes with a bunch of caveats which I think are really important to like talk about, and I think they're a really interesting view, right? So we've done like 200 plus episodes of this stuff, right? We've been around for a long time, but the Skate series has been around for nearly 20 years, like we say. And the world of video games has moved on, and Electronic Arts has moved on. So it is kind of wild that they've been building this game for the last three and a half years, as far as I can tell, and it's still in early access now, right? And they're continuing to build on it and improve it and all that sort of stuff. And even since middle of September, I've been playing it. Like, it's definitely been getting better. There's been patches and updates and all that sort of stuff. But the core of Skate is still there, right? If you played 1 through 3, this is that. It's more Skate 3 than it is Skate 1. Like, it's more forgiving. And it also, in terms of its tone and in terms of its severity of gameplay, it is more Skate 3, which was a little bit more loosey-goosey, whereas Skate 1 was definitely a lot more like, no, you messed this up, like, go back. Tonally, the Skate games as a trilogy went from skating is kind of forbidden and an underground thing to Skate 3, whereby it was much more, the world was very happy about skating and wanted to encourage it everywhere. And then this new Skate, which I'll call Skate 4, just because it's really annoying to not call it Skate. Skate 4 is basically like, not only is the world totally happy with skateboarding, the entire city is built around it. Like, everything. The entire, like, I don't know how anybody goes to work normally. Like, so there are vert ramps everywhere. Every other place is a skate park. There are like rolling banks and rolling hills and areas to go bombing down, and tons of grindable areas that are very obviously built for what it is. The story in the game, because there is a story, because they can't help themselves throughout all of the Skate games, the story is very much around, like, this is a city, it's called San Vansterdam, and it is and it is it's basically a community-driven, community-run skate city where the most important thing that you can do is skateboard and show off to everybody in the world how good you are at skateboarding. But tonally, it's much more, as I say, towards Skate 3. I would say it goes even further. And the thing I think that is most interesting about the game is, it is still simulation-ish. It's got a lot of accessibility options to make the game easier to get into, but you can just turn basically most of those things off, which is what I did, because I want to play Skate. I don't want to play Tony Hawk's Light. But there's little things to kind of make it like lower the barrier to entry. And that's that, along with things like the tone of the game and the monetization model and some other like fit and finishing things, are the things that say to me that I actually think this is the Skate that Electronic Arts can make now. I actually don't think they can make Skate 1 and 2 anymore. Like, I genuinely don't think they have it in them to be able to make a premium, really hardcore skateboarding game. They have to make it this free-to-play, easier to access, massively focusing on multiplayer and hanging online with your friends, spectacle, buying like nickel and diming like bits and pieces of equipment, like spending money on virtual currency so you can go and buy a sticker for your skateboard, a specific sticker that you want for your skateboard. The sort of everyone loves skateboarding tone and this really annoying I'm going to say AI. It's not actually AI, but like this character who sort of like is with you, and like it's like Navi but worse, like Navi from Ocarina of Time but worse, saying phrases like, "Yo, bro, that was a sick drop," and you're like, "Wow, this is what 38-year-old men think cool is." Very like cool by committee. And all of that is really off-putting, like, and it should be, because it isn't very authentic to skating culture. It's definitely lost a lot of the soul of what skating culture actually is. I don't think it really knows what that is anymore. But you can tell on that team, there's a bunch of folks who really love the series. Like, there's so many like homages and reference back to the original 3 skate games, like Skate 1 through 3, which are the ones that the community really loves. You can see it in the options menus of like things that you can and cannot, that you can turn on and off to make your skateboarding experience like harder. Basically, you can see that someone there really cares about it. There's some really good eyes for lines and really interesting spaces to go and creatively move around and do tricks and things like that. It's still got all of that amazing thing that I used to love doing with you, Sam, where it was like we'd set up like we'd find like a space and go, oh, this is really cool. There's some like natural objects in this space, and by natural I mean like, you know, a rail or you know, things that are in the city, and then we might go, oh, let's drop a park bench here that we can grind off of once we've jumped off of that natural like ledge, for example. And then like we'd stay at that spot and just like session it, and like try and basically trick off it and do like really cool things and like show off, because it's not a game for the faint heart. It's a really quite mechanically complex game, and just being able to pull off an ollie to a flick trick to a grind to a flick out again, that is, you know, it takes quite a bit of skill and getting used to how that works. It's not like Tony Hawk's where that's like 3 buttons. And it's got all of that, like all the challenges. You can go back and just like, you can do all that quick reset. In fact, it's way better than it ever was. Like it loads really, really fast. It uses the power of the new consoles and SSDs and stuff to get you loaded in real fast. Like I've played it online with friend of the show, Danny, and who basically just, you know, we rolled around the crew, this area, just completing fun challenges. He went off in a completely different part of the map. I was hanging out in somewhere else, and we were hanging out, chatting, doing again the sorts of things that, you know, I would want to get from a skate game.
I think I've never really played Skate, and when I say I've never really played it, what I mean is I've never played it.
You never played it. Yeah.
I was just kind of elaborating there. Back in the day, the only skateboarding game I ever played, I think, was Tony Hawk's 2. And looking back, the only thing I really remember from that is kind of the first level and just in general the music from it. Yeah. So it's never been a genre of game that I have been either kind of enthusiastic about, because it's not a world that has ever really interested me. That kind of skating culture is not even part of me, but also kind of the mechanics of those games, I'm not very good at those, so I kind of don't. I move away from those. What I find interesting is that whole thing there you talk about, that very quick rinse and repeat element to it. I've been able to drop out, drop back in, repeat, refresh, do it really quickly. Obviously lends itself to that sense of, I've messed up, let me try again. I've messed up, let me try again.
Improving,
exactly. That sense of not being stuck doing something wrong over and over again and not being able to get it. Very like some games where you can very quickly just, okay, reset, go again, reset, go again. Do you think those kind of elements with this, comparatively to kind of previous games, would enable a newbie or someone like myself who doesn't play these kind of games?
Yeah.
Because you say that the mechanics of it hasn't really changed. It is still quite a complex game. Do you think that element of it will enable people like myself to get along with it better?
Yeah, totally. And it's definitely things like that. You know, it is faster to get to that, to get to those reloads. It is a game that the story, as it were, most of it is basically teaching you about all of the tricks in your arsenal of like things that you can do. So like dropping objects, but also things like setting restart markers, and you know, like and they really emphasize that in the first like 10 challenges that you do. It's like, no, you should drop a marker here because otherwise you're gonna have to walk all the way back up these stairs. Like it's just things like that that get you used to that idea. And then yes, definitely, like there are accessibility settings in there, Dan, that I think you would be able to take advantage of, whereby, and they're for you, they don't affect the entire game world. So for example, one of the more challenging things to get your head around is like there's no grind button like in Tony Hawk, so you don't just magnetize to the rail, you have to jump onto it. You have to be aiming at the thing, right? But there are settings in the accessibility area that will increase the sort of magnetization element so that you can turn it all off completely, right? And that's just a purer skate experience. But if you're not very good at that stuff, you can whack it all the way up, and like, you know, your skateboard will, you know, sort of not quite this, but like, you know, it almost hover over to the thing that it thinks you probably want to try and get onto.
Just kind of increases the margin of error without punishing you.
Exactly, and it does a good job of the tutorialization. You know, it does all of that stuff. The thing that it does as well is this is, and I really can't emphasize this enough. This is Skate as Fortnite. It's
okay.
So it's, for example, climbing and scaling objects is now a huge part of the game, to the point that they have a climbing system that's very comparable to Assassin's Creed. They have the ability for you to build objects. They really want you to like build things in this space to enhance the space even more. They want you to hang out in this game, and like they rotate around challenges. So like there'll be daily challenges that you can get currency for. There are weekly challenges, there are monthly challenges, there are season challenges. There are challenges for special events that come in. They're running this one at the moment called like 7-ply or something like that, which is I think it's a skating reference in some kind. I actually don't know it, but they've done that. They've done Halloween. I'm sure they'll do all sorts of other events as well. And they are giving you away freebies and all that sort of stuff. They're always pushing you to hang out, to try to keep going again. And it is a very positive atmosphere as well. It doesn't have that, it doesn't feel punishing in quite that same way anymore. And I think that is good. What it does is there is more of an emphasis on showing off in terms of your clothing, your gestures that you can do. So you can buy like gestures, like little dances and stuff like that, to the way that you can customize your profile card for your skater. You know, the kinds of numbers of accessories and things that you can wear, the skateboard tape, the wheels. Like it puts a lot of emphasis on that, and that to some degree detracts from the raw skill that the players are actually showing as part of doing these really cool challenges. And I think that's a bit of a shame. And again, that's part of that tonal shift away. But as I say, it is this game that I think Electronic Arts, this is the best I think we could have expected from Skate, like from a Skate 4. Whereas like you look at something like Skater XL, which I've talked about in the podcast, you look at Session, which I've also been playing, those are much more like, those are small teams. They have a very specific idea of what they want to do. They want to do like really hardcore skateboarding simulation. They want to try and represent the skateboarding culture a lot more than what I think this is doing. The community reaction to it, and I think this is really important, has been really weird. Steam reviews for it, which are always a really good indicator. If you're ever interested in like what's the community currently thinking, there's a PC version, go and look at that. Recent reviews are mostly positive because they have been fixing the myriad of bugs that have been in this game. Like bugs where I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing kind of level. Sorts of bugs like falling through things, tricks not registering, like things along those lines. They have been fixing all of that good stuff. And that has, I think, made the community a lot happier, which is really, really good. But overall, they have tons of reviews, but they're currently sat at mixed. And I think that indicates that this is, some of that Skate audience was not expecting this version of Skate. And I think that's fine. Like I was one of them. I was not expecting it to kind of feel like this. But also taking like that out of the equation, this is a game I really want to play with you, Sam. Like I really want to hang out and play this online with you at some point. And you know, it's the perfect hanging around, having a beer in the evening and chatting away and just doing something at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think, Dan, you'd enjoy it. I think you could learn to enjoy it, but it's one of those things whereby that and I know that's like damning with faint praise, right? But like, yeah, it is. For me, that's kind of a good thing, Dan. The fact that like I don't necessarily think this is going to be your cup of tea is like that means it is Skate still, right? And that's great. Yeah. Like to me, I want it to be Skate, right? But in some ways, the fact that I'm like, I think this is the one that you could get into sort of indicates how it's sort of going further away from the thing I would actually want it to be. So yeah, I'm keeping it on my hard drive. It's really fun to jump in every now and again. I'm really interested to see what happens when it comes out of early access. But yeah, you, me, Sam, like we'll go and skate around in it and have fun with it. And I'm sure Chris would. I'm sure Chris would enjoy some sort of like, I don't know. He'd find it enjoyable in a sort of like, walking the space. I mean, he probably wouldn't skateboard. He'd just wander around the entire space.
Just walk everywhere.
Yeah, he'd just walk everywhere or crawl.
What platform is it on other than Steam?
Yeah, so it's on Steam. I'm playing it on PlayStation 5. It is, I think it's also on Xbox Series X/S. But I don't think it's on anything else at the moment. It's in early access. So most games don't go to console in early access, so this is kind of cool. But it works really nicely on PlayStation. I can definitely vouch for it. Really smooth, no performance problems or anything like that. Like it's not buggy in that way. It's and to be fair, it's clearing up now anyway. But yeah, like performance wise, it's good. It looks pretty good too. Looks pretty nice. There's some nice effects. There's some nice visuals, and it's again, like I say, you can still feel the love from the team, from a lot of the development team in it. It's just every once in a while you feel the hand of the business executive, and that's the bit where you go,
yeah.
16 episodes ago, I was on here talking about Gwent.
The Witcher card game?
The Witcher, the legendary card game from
you were
The
very
Witcher.
enamoured with it, weren't you?
Yeah, I think, well, at the time, it was kind of, we were playing it as part of a preview at Aircon. So we were kind of put down in front of the game, and the guy went, "You play The Witcher 3?" And I was like, "Yeah." And Chris was like, and he went, "Off you go." And so we sort of had a brief time with it and came away with the conclusion that it's Gwent, but Hachette were very kind, and they sent us a copy for us to have a bit more time with, luxuriate with.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it is Gwent. It still remains as Gwent. If you have played The Witcher 3, you know exactly the card game that you are getting yourself in for when you open up the box and play the game. And I guess what my thoughts on it are just what happens when you translate a card game that's in a video game back to a card game, and what effect that has on you as a player. And I think there's something very, very specific about the Witcher-ness of Gwent and the world that it exists in. Early this month, I went to go and see The Witcher Live, which was this, like, they call it an immersive audio-visual experience. It was just a band playing Witcher songs in front of
a big screen. See, Sam, this is why you're not in marketing, isn't it? Really?
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Well, the original band, Percival, who played a folk band, they were there playing the music from The Witcher with an orchestra. So it was, it was really, really cool. Mm-hmm. The audio visual aspect of it, well, the audio was great. The visual aspect of it was not really what I was expecting. But I think what I was expecting was possibly impossible to achieve. Like, I was hoping there was going to be someone sitting at the side of the stage playing The Witcher 3 in, like, some sort of scripted demo fashion, a bit like they do at E3.
Right, yeah.
And they play the music along with what's happening on the screen. However, it was just, here are some cutscenes and some lovely 3D renders of assets from the game. and that was it. Also, the beard to top knot ratio was the highest I've ever seen in one place. It was incredible. Saying all that, I know I'm really cynical, but the music in The Witcher 3 is actually incredible, and actually seeing some of the original artists play the music live was incredible, and everyone was really up for it in the crowd, which is brilliant. So I mentioned that because I think there is a very specific world that The Witcher inhabits, and when you sit down to play Gwent, the card game, I think there is a bit of a struggle in the fact that you're now playing it in your dining room to before you were playing it in a dank, musty, mead-strewn pub in White Orchard having just taken down a big, like, mutated griffin bird and you're just chilling out and want to take a load off. Because for me, I don't think the game ever really manages to really replicate that tactility of that experience. But saying that, the game itself is incredible. Like, I think that from a game mechanic standpoint and a design standpoint, it's a amazing 2-player game and a really canny and intelligent battle system. So if you've not played Gwent before, how it works is that you can choose from one of 5 factions, and you take that deck and you take 26, 27 cards from that deck, shuffle them, you draw 10, and then those are the 10 cards that you'll play with over the course of 3 rounds. And on your turn, you play one of those cards that are in your hand into one of 3 spaces. You've got like the melee space, the range space, and like the siege space. So it's like swords, archers, and like siege weapons like trebuchets and catapults and stuff. And it's a simple game of numbers, really. You're aiming to get more numbers, higher power than the player next to you, and it's the best of 3 rounds. So you've got to win 2 out of the 3 rounds, but you've only got 10 cards to do it in. There are some cards that allow you to draw more cards from the deck and kind of manipulate hand size and get cards back from your discard pile. But on the whole, you're trying to manage these 10 cards in your hand. So you could easily win the first round by playing all your 10 cards on the whole. But then you've got nothing to play the last two rounds with, so you lose.
Right.
So the game has this, seems a bit of an oxymoron to say, has this like overt meta to it where you are very, very clearly, you're doing 2 things simultaneously. You're trying to get the best out of the hand that you've got, but you're also playing the player across from you. You're seeing how many cards they've got in your deck. You're trying to figure out, like, how far do I push this? When do I sort of tap out and say, right, I'm passing, in order to save a bit of, money in the bank for the next few rounds? Or do you push really hard here to try and get them to spend some more cards and then get them to exhaust themselves before the game is over? The times that I've won and lost in Gwent, more often than not, is where I've got that bit of the puzzle wrong rather than the actual card play itself. It's not that I haven't played the deck really well, it's just I haven't played the player really well, which really replicates what it felt like in The Witcher 3, where you would learn the basics of the game and you collect cards as you go, and there is a little bit of deck building in it that you can do and it encourages you to do, but really it is about the different strategies and the different ways of people you are playing against that really makes the game interesting, and understanding what makes them tick and how far they push things and pull things, how aggressive or standoffish they are, rather than the actual cards in their deck. And that's just what makes it a stupendous card game experience. As I said, if you played The Witcher and you love Gwent, you will love this physical version of Gwent. They've done an amazing job in making it look like the card game. And if you like 2-player card games, then again, it is one of the best ones out there. Like, you can carry a couple of decks around with you in your pocket, take it out and play. I think for me, where I guess the overall experience sort of falls down is that the game comes with a mat that is, it's like this paper mat that you play on that kind of replicates the board state that was in The Witcher 3. Now, in The Witcher 3, it's like a board state that's been carved out of wood, and so the mat is there to replicate that. And I really, really commend them for adding it as a thing within the game. But from a tactility point of view, it didn't immerse me in that world. It took me out of it. Mm-hmm. And the times I sort of played it subsequently, like we played without the mat, I think that like a linen mat probably would have been, or a cloth mat would have probably served it better. But I'm not a board game publisher. I don't know what that would have meant for.
I'm sure that would have been way more expensive, like way more.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always think when I've played kind of games that have this element of like a mini game built in these, whether it's a card game or anything like that, every time I've played those kind of games, I've always had a feeling of, well, the game is deciding whether I win or lose. It's not what I'm doing. It's not the cards that I've got. The game has decided. Say if I'm playing a game of cards, playing poker or something like that, the game has decided, we're going to let you win this one, so we'll dish out the cards that mean I win. So I never really feel like it's like a proper card game that you sat around people face to face. So it's really interesting to have a situation where you're taking that card game into the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
How does, obviously with the game being the same, you said there it's a solid game. The actual game that they've constructed and created is a solid card game. Like it works. How does it feel going from playing it in that digital environment, where for me it doesn't feel like you're truly playing like a realistic game competitive against someone else, to playing it in undoubtedly a realistic environment where you're playing against people with cards in front of them? How does the feel of those two elements differ?
This is something that came up actually the last few times I played it, is in quite a lot of cases you miss the brain that sits behind it, that does all the maths for you and sorts out all the edge cases and the weird rules and the combos and the combinations of play. You end up kind of missing that a little bit. Like when you're playing it when you're taking a trip to Novigrad and you're slapping down cards and the numbers just go up and up and up, and you don't have to, well, you do a bit of thinking, but it kind of works all out for you. There's a sense of satisfaction that comes from that. A number of times we've kind of had to go back to the rule book and kind of work out edge cases on when specific things happen and when certain combos might trigger and what has an effect when in terms of the cascading order of things. And I think that is always one of the dangers of converting a game from a video game space into a physical space. It was the same similarly with Slay the Spire in terms of going from a card game that only existed in the video game space and then making it real, so much so that they actually changed quite a lot of the values of the cards to actually make that addition and that progression of the game easier on you, because they knew that the computer wasn't going to be there to do a lot of that work for you as a player. In Gwent, the card game, they have made some changes to the card, but most of them remain in their fullest of state, including numbers and weighting of them, which is good, which is fine, but I think you miss the computer quite a lot doing that kind of thing.
You're always going to, right? Like, because the you look at something like a Balatro, for example, and as a video game designer, you can rely on the system, as long as you program it correctly, is never going to fail to put together all of the combos. It's never going to fail to say, oh yeah, you did this and then this and then this, and it will never fail to keep the rules sacrosanct, right? Whereas yeah, like when players step in to be the computer, there is room for error. And especially if you're not in something like super high-end competition play, like, if you're playing Magic the Gathering at a tournament, an official tournament, like, yeah, you actually do have somebody there who knows exactly how the game works and is there literally to judge, are you following the rules? But in more casual play, and I get the feeling that this is where they're going with Gwent. I don't think anybody's sitting there going, oh, let's turn this into the next Lorcana or the next Magic the Gathering. Like, that means that as a video game designer, the skill space, the sort of mental load that you can expect from the player is different to that than if you were doing that from a player in real life, right? There are fewer players who can keep the sum of all of the systems in their head in the same way that a computer can. And so, paper card games tend to be a lot simpler, right? It's like the Pokemon card game, for example. They did an opposite version of what happened here. They did a card game that became a video game right? And it was on the Game Boy, and they tried to replicate it all, but it just wasn't as I mean, it's a fine game, but like Pokemon as a trading card game, as a paper game, has a fair amount of complexity to it, but it's nowhere near the it's nowhere near something like Flesh and Blood, right? Like that's much more complicated. Again, not super complicated, but more complicated than Pokemon. And that means it has the ability to be like mass appeal, because not everybody wants to play super hardcore, tons of systems, tons of legacy, tons of mechanics, right? Whereas, with something like Gwent, it's like, but we don't have to worry about that because that's all being done by a computer. So I can see... This is a bit of a tricky one, because I can imagine that people who are going to buy this Gwent tabletop game, they probably already play The Witcher, right? They probably already, or they watch the TV series. Like, they're probably au fait enough to know, I know what I'm getting myself into, and therefore can run this, and are not expecting it to just nip along like that. But I suppose it does somewhat limit the ability to, it's never going to rival the Pokemon CCG in terms of popularity, or Yu-Gi-Oh, for example. It's never gonna rival that, and maybe that's fine. Maybe that it just doesn't need to.
No, it doesn't need to. And I think where I sort of land on it is that I think there are two sort of possible audiences for this game. I think there is the audience that want to have a bit of Witcher on their shelf to bring out and to feel like they're in that world, a bit like that pub that Chris went to when he went to Krakow. And I think for them, they might find the experience a little lacking. However, for those who are interested in card games and two-player card games specifically, it's nice that they've included rules for like 3, 4, and 5-player play, which is bonkers. And they've included rules for tournament play, and they've included rules for deck building. I think hands down, Gwent is just a superb game to play, and I think that experience for me trumps the IP it's coming from. The other day, I sent a Hail Mary message out to the group. We've spoken about this before. Again, we're speaking a lot today about stuff that we've spoken about before, but I've talked about my little habits that I make for myself throughout the year to try and make myself a better person. And whether it's working or not, that's for you to decide. And one of them is it used to be watch a film every month, and I've gotten quite good at that, and I've increased my film watching, which is what the aim of that habit was. And that changed into, instead of watching a film every month, to watching a TV show, a whole series of a TV show every single month.
Do you have to watch it from start to finish?
Start to finish, but only one season.
Okay, just one season, because obviously there are certain series that would be tough.
It's not the entirety of Grey's Anatomy in 1 month. So this month I was struggling, got sort of halfway through the month, not started anything new. Sometimes I'll cheat and it'll be like a Taskmaster or a Bake Off, just something that's happening naturally in the background that just will occur. Some of the best months are when I'll watch a series and keep the last episode when the month ticks over, and then watch it and go, boom, done it.
That's just cheating. That's just flat out
I'll
cheating.
sit back for 30 days. Sometimes I'll keep an audio book, like the last few minutes, just for the next month. Anyway, so I was really struggling for this month. I put out Hail Mary. Does anyone have a good recommendation for a short TV series that I could watch? And Daniel Frost, as usual,
I stepped up.
The stepped up to the plate. He is our quarterback, and he passed me a ball, and on the ball was written WWE Unreal, which is a 5-part. There are new episodes coming in the new year, but it's a 5-part documentary series.
Okay.
And I put documentary
very, very much so.
Very, 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 very big caveat into documentary.
Yeah.
Which kind of very loosely follows the wonderful, wonderful day-to-day life of WWE Entertainment Corporation as it debuts on Netflix for the first time, and follows that year from January the 6th, that first Raw that was on Netflix up until by the end of what is the sports entertainment year, which ends at WrestleMania, and follows the some of the superstars over that time, a lot of the background that goes into, writing the storylines and some of the characters and what it takes to kind of put on these kind of shows.
Right.
And yeah.
So you're not a fan of WWE anyway, are you?
I am.
But you're not watching it.
I'm not watching it at the moment. No,
you're
but
not watching it.
I used to love wrestling.
I seriously, because I'd watch this when it came, because I do watch the kind of the current shows on. I'm not watching it live. I'm watching it on catch up. I'm watching it on highlights. I'm watching clips on YouTube, that kind of thing. Like, there is far too much wrestling to actually, for me, to fit it into my life.
There's 2 shows a week.
Oh, yeah.
But there's like 5 hours minimum a week to try and watch minimum. So I can't factor that in. So I do watch it, and I did watch this series. I actually really enjoyed this series. As you say, big air quotes, caveats that it's kind of true. But when you watch it, I am really interested to see what you thought of it, because I kind of did want you guys to watch it, because obviously I really enjoy kind of the whole wrestling culture, a lot of it because of understanding the backdrop to it. It's not like when I watched it when I was younger, it was just I basically believe what I'm seeing on screen is true. I know it's not, but I have suspension of disbelief, and I'm just going to believe that. Whereas the way I would watch it when I came back to it years later, and the way I'd look at it now, is the whole concept of how these storylines are structured and decisions that get made. I find fascinating around all of that. It's not just 2 guys hitting each other. It's all that background, which is, some people like to look at it that way. Other people don't. I really enjoy seeing and thinking about it in that way, and trying to piece, I can see how they're structuring a story and what they're doing to take it that way. So I was interested kind of in you guys watching it, because I couldn't show you an episode of wrestling and say, look, watch this and you'll understand why I like it. Whereas a documentary which talks about what's going on behind the scenes and how these things are structured would give you an understanding of what I get from it. Because you wouldn't watch a normal episode, which is all fireworks and sparkles and all that stuff, but it's all very surface. You kind of want to see underneath the hood to kind of get what I get from it. So I'm interested, Sam, to see what you thought of that underneath the hood.
Right, here we go. Strap in.
Let me hold on to something.
So, if you're watching a WWE documentary with the hope that there is any journalistic rigor, then this is not the documentary for you.
They make it seem like there is.
But in some ways, that's worse, because at no point do they, at any point, acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is the fact that Vince McMahon is no longer with the company.
Yeah. Don't Google it, folks.
At no point do they really acknowledge any of the past failures of the WWE in terms of well-being of its superstars.
Yep.
And there are some ongoing relationships with some people in this documentary specifically, which I would also call questionable, which I'll get to. So I think for me, what I really liked about this documentary were a couple of things. I thought there were a couple of superstars, athletes that I think come across really, really well. I think John Cena always going to give you what you want. I think CM Punk especially has quite a prominent role in this documentary, and I think for him, they sort of track his way back into the ring after he had the very, very public, they kind of call it a meltdown, which I kind of feel like his corporation speak for that time he spoke the truth about how badly he was mistreated by the corporation, and then was let go, and then went to do other things for 10 years and then came back. That is, again, when we talk about journalistic rigor, CM Punk speaks about that. Hunter, who was formerly Triple H, the current chief content officer, does not address that at all in any way.
Just so you know, his name isn't Hunter.
All right, is it not?
Just
call him Hunter.
His name is Paul. Like, he goes by Paul Levesque.
Oh, Paul.
Hunter is
Levesque.
Part of the Triple H name. So I don't know if you want to just go over that. Really read
that. It was just, that's the time of, I just couldn't get past it because that's the time of wrestling that I
I agree.
Really enjoyed. The other thing that I really loved about this documentary is finding out that The Rock has his own personal creative writing team in the WWE.
What?
There is someone employed by the WWE who does nothing but write The Rock storylines for him.
Can you smell what he's cooking? How much? What a sweet gig! What a sweet gig that must be. This is the bit where he raises his eyebrow.
Yeah, and for now, The Rock is kind of legendary sort of status, so he only really turns up. He had a big storyline, which kind of is alluded to as part of this documentary. It's kind of culmination of that storyline in it. But I mean, he doesn't turn up that much, so the writer is pretty much just throwing around ideas.
I think they do work together outside of wrestling as well.
Oh, do they?
Oh, right,
okay. All right.
fine.
Fair enough. Right.
He's not just sat in a room by himself twiddling his thumbs until The Rock shows up again.
What shall I make Rocky Boy do today?
And there's the interesting thing that I think the thing that I found the most intriguing was this thing called gorilla position, which is a bespoke, custom-built staging area for at which Paul Levesque and all of the match production crew basically control what you see on screen. At all times, they have constant communication with the ref. So if the match is going too slow, too fast, they need to move it on to a different part of the script of the match. The ref will help push and pull that along with the wrestlers, and they work together in that room to bring that, what they've sort of discussed in the writer's room over months and months and months, bring that to fruition in the moment, having worked with the superstars and the athletes up before that. And how they do it is basically they've got a feed which is like 15 seconds ahead of what the main TV gallery feed, and then they tell the TV gallery which shots to use in order to tell this story. So I found that really interesting from a production point of view, and I think that was kind of where I sort of, in the most part, I felt I just came away from the documentary feeling very sort of sorry for a lot of the wrestlers.
Really?
So again, lack of journalistic rigor. But first of all, there are some scenes where you'll see all the women wrestlers getting ready together in a corridor in an arena, having their makeup done. And then it will cut to like Cody Rhodes, who's in his own trailer with his wife and his family and lots of crew around him, all just getting ready and
having a nice time,
like in the lap of luxury. There is one episode which focuses on another character, Chelsea Green, and it's very obvious that she is a freelance artist. She is in no way contracted to appear with the WWE. She never gets told when she's not going to appear, so she flies all the way to Canada to appear at this wrestling thing, which all her friends and family are booked to see her at, only to find out that she's not going to appear on this show at all.
Right.
And again, what I want to hear is, what is WWE's reaction to that? Like, it's clear they have to all buy their own kit. Some of them even have to make their own kit. They turn up and with like bags and suitcases on the day and have to do all their own stuff themselves. Like, the WWE does not do any of that for any of them.
Wow.
Unless obviously they're a super duper star. And this is some of the critique that came out, especially around COVID, that because the majority of them are sort of freelance contractors, like it is a struggle, to the point where there is even one point where someone discusses the fact that they've got an injury, and they could either just let the injury be and be back in 3 months, or go and have surgery and they're back in 6 months. And there is this prevailing feeling throughout the whole documentary that everyone is absolutely petrified of getting any sort of long-term injury, because if they do, they could just be out. That's their livelihood gone, right. Because the WWE is not going to look after them, and as soon as they're forgotten from the fans, the WWE will forget them, and the WWE does not owe them a living in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
And for me, that ruined a little bit of the magic, because you are witness to the whole corporate capitalist view of what the WWE is, whereas the audience make and break you and the writers make and break you. You are in no way in control of whether you're going to win, whether you're going to become a star. It's all based off what the writers deem to be the right thing at that moment. And I just found that really, you just see people pouring their heart and their body and their soul into something that they absolutely love. And even though they present it as a meritocracy, it is in no way that it is gladiatorial Rome. It is Paul Levesque sitting in a room pointing his thumb up or pointing his thumb down, which is going to decide whether you are going to even be on the show that night. And then you see the writer's room and it's all men. There's one woman in there. There's no diversity at all in the writer's room. Even where they are women in the writer's room, when it comes to gorilla position, it's all men dictating the sway of the match and producing it. And I think the thing for me where I really where I really sort of saw the corporateness of it is that you've got this guy called Cody Rhodes, which I've actually come out of it feeling I really respect him. Like, he's done some BBC bedtime stories and he comes across as a really genuinely nice guy. Right. And his dad was a former wrestler. And again, part of his shtick, his dad, was that he was this really flamboyant. Don't know if you can remember his name, Dan.
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes. He was really, really flamboyant, right? And he had all these like Rolex watches and he had all this like kit and this gear. Obviously, that was all coming out of his own pocket, and he eventually got into debt and he had to sell all the stuff that he'd made. Right. So Paul Levesque and someone else in the production crew for WWE find one of his Rolexes that Dusty Rhodes had to sell, and they buy it and present it as a gift to Cody Rhodes, right? Really, really, what a lovely gesture, right? Nice. And Cody Rhodes comes off from having this fight. He's on the up and up, on the way to WrestleMania. I think he's won the championship or something like that. And they present him with this Rolex watch, and he starts to cry. And the second he starts to cry, you see a headlamp light up and two cameras just zoom in on him. And I'm just like, not everything has to be content.
But that has been staged in that one. I'm not saying his reaction is staged, but that moment.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like every single minuscule part of not just this documentary, but you get the impression the whole of the WWE is staged and managed to a absolutely. And this is the other thing. There's even a bit where they admit to using extras in the audience, and I'm sure it was just for that one bit, but I just couldn't get that out of my head in terms of how many of these people in this crowd are hype people employed by the WWE to get people in on this match and hype them up.
You see, the thing is, I guess I don't care. like I know that that's like a really harsh thing to say. And obviously I care about people being, upset or unwell or not being able to make ends meet. But in some ways, I kind of feel like, I'm not going to watch this. And that's because it's for the same reason that I don't want to watch how Magic's done. If you're, I don't know, is he a wrong 'un? Is Paul Daniels a wrong 'un? Is he a bad one?
Well, he's dead, so you can say what you want.
Right, great. So Paul Daniels, I don't want to watch videos of Paul Daniels showing how the magic trick is done. Like, I don't, right? I want to see the sleight of hand and go, wow, how did he do that? And I never actually want to know the answer. And I think for me, WWF is, and obviously WWE now, like, I think it is one of those things whereby I really don't want to see how the sausage is made.
I agree. Yeah.
Like, and it is sad. I'm sure. Pop Nails is much bigger than me, so I wouldn't want to annoy him. But like, I'm sure I wouldn't want Cody Rhodes to be upset, and I'm sure that was a touching moment. And I do agree with you, Sam. There are some things where I think to myself, come on, like, give this person their space. And then the other part of me goes, yeah, but they're a performer and they've agreed to be in a documentary about this thing. Like,
yeah.
And it is obvious that everybody in that production is in it because they're going to get paid to be in it, that they're doing it because they want to advance their career, that they want to do all of these things. And there's a part of me that I guess this is more of a wider philosophical thing, but I guess I increasingly find this, like, obviously celebrities should have some level of privacy, but if you are a celebrity and you have signed up for a very public thing, I think there are no holds barred.
When in that arena, you mean?
When in that arena, yeah. Like, I mean, for example, I'm not saying you should, you're being papped left, right, and center, and people are figuring out who your kids are in school and going and taking, going writing weird expose. No, that's obviously horrible. But if you're the sort of person who, I don't know, in Britain, we've got the jungle program, whatever it's called,
I'm a Celebrity.
In Britain.
Right.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, right. We've got things like I'm a Celebrity. And it's like, if you do something on that show whilst you're there, well, more fool you.
The only other thing that really frustrated me about this documentary, and eventually it did kind of make me laugh, is the people in that writer's room are convinced they're writing Shakespeare. They are convinced they are writing some of the most compelling dramas of our age.
They are, mate.
But when the truth is, they've got two storylines that they use. Either a babyface becomes a heel, or a heel becomes a babyface, or someone backstabs someone else in order to win a fight.
But again, that's Shakespeare, mate. Like, that's Shakespeare. Like
it's not.
But it is like Will was making mass entertainment for the masses, right? Like, this is and while obviously it's not exactly the same thing, like, and we've deified his writings. At the end of the day, he was there to make sure that the orange sellers had something to distract the audience while they did whatever they did, right? He was putting on performances that were meant to carry a specific kind of favor, a very political kind of favor. There's a reason that Shakespeare wrote about the kings and queens that he wrote about at the time he wrote about them, and not before.
Stop.
Right?
Just stop.
It's true.
Stop.
Look, there is something as a fan of it. There is something inherently silly about a kind of a narrative storytelling process which always ends up with two people hitting each other in basically choreographed dance. There is something inherently silly about that. There's no getting away from that.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to accept that. But there is, whilst I would agree it's not exactly Shakespeare, I would kind of go against the point of they have two storylines. I think it is capable of doing actually very interesting storylines at times. Other times, unbelievably silly, but also sometimes it's meaning to be silly, and you kind of go with that and you enjoy that element as well. Sometimes something is silly and you're meant to find it silly and just enjoy the ride. I think in terms of this, I agree with a lot of what you're saying there. So I think for me, similarly, the most interesting part of it was seeing the backstage production, watching them talk to the referee through a match, working out, okay, we're 3 minutes over, we've got to cut 3 minutes, how do we do that? Not knowing, have they been successful in cutting it? Because they can't see until the match progresses, have the wrestlers been able to cut stuff out? And actually, that was really interesting. It plays itself as being realistic. Obviously, that it is sugarcoating it a lot. And as someone who would have watched a lot of this stuff happening at the time when it happened, you kind of watch and thinking, that's not how it played out in real life. I remember that. That was not how it played out. One of the elements, there's a match with Cody Rhodes and John Cena. And in the documentary, they're like, great job, great job. And I know for a fact that was one of the worst matches ever. It was awful. And everyone kind of thought it was, but in the documentary, like, brilliant. I think they even get, I think Cody Rhodes at one point says, it was a bit basic though, wasn't it? And they were like, don't worry about it. It was exactly what it needed to be. And you're like, I remember that. It's interesting to see how they're portraying this, and like there are certain bits which feel very staged. In terms of, I think there's one where a lot of the wrestlers all come together to applaud one wrestler who's returning from injury and stuff, and you think, I don't think that happened from the understanding people have of behind the scenes relationships. I don't think that person was as well liked as they're trying to play it out. But so you do have to take all of that with a pinch of salt. And I think anybody watching this knows that WWE and pro wrestling as it goes, is all scripted, is storytelling. So you're not going to have a straight down the middle, warts and all documentary, especially when it's been made by the people who are trying to make it look good. Your points around kind of them skipping past the extremely problematic history of WWE, I think they get around that by very much saying this is a new start. We're on Netflix. This is a new era. Vince McMahon has gone. They very much from the start of it talk about this is brand new. We're not looking back. There are other documentaries on Netflix about WWE which do go further into that, about Vince McMahon, that kind of came out before the really bad stuff came out about Vince McMahon, so that doesn't cover it, but that does cover a lot of the old stuff. So there is areas out there if you want to see it. I think, I'm not saying that's an acceptable reason, but I think that's not what this documentary is trying to do. It's not trying to be warts and all. It's trying to be, here's the head of the company, and he's going to walk you around backstage to show you what it's like. He's not going to show you the really grimy areas. He's going to show you the nice stuff, but it's all going to be roughly real. We're just going to kind of spruce it up a bit for you.
It is 5 hours. It breezes past. They make it very, very watchable.
Right.
It's nearly Christmas time. Yay! And at around Christmas time, we have a little tradition that we always do where we put a little bit of money aside and we get each other a gift. It's our secret Santa. We don't know who's buying for whom, but what we do know is what each one of us wants. And this is the part of the show where we're just going to keep to ourselves, but share with you what we all want from Santa for Christmas. So Dan's wife, Holly, has done the duty, and we now each know whom we are buying for, but we just don't know what we're getting. So we've got a budge, 20 quids. Dan, what are you asking for this year?
I always really struggle with this because I always like Christmas, birthdays, everything. I really struggle with like asking for things because like I genuinely can't ever think of anything that I want. So I'm sort of cheating this year by stealing an idea from last year. And I really liked Chris's idea last year. And Chris's idea last year was a T-shirt from an independent shop. So I was thinking something along those lines of clothing based. Because two of my favourite T-shirts that I own were actually bought by you guys. I have a red T-shirt with a Jet Cola, which is from Shenmue. So there's the Jet Cola logo, really like that. And I've also got a T-shirt, like a grey T-shirt with the like Oddworld, like Abe's Odyssey artwork, which I can't really wear at the moment because it was bought for me as a small, and I am not a small anymore. So it's still in my wardrobe as like one of those things that one day I'll wear you again. So I was thinking about a T-shirt this year. So, but to give you a caveat for that, rather than just a T-shirt, I would like a T-shirt, a retro T-shirt with, whether it be a movie or a TV show or a game artwork, maybe like an obscure reference to a film or something like that. It doesn't have to be, but something along those lines. So it's a T-shirt with a reference to film, TV show, game, keeping it kind of on brand, but something along those lines in a large, not a small.
In a large. Wonderful. I'm going to go last because I genuinely think mine is genius this year. Pete, what do you want?
I've been thinking about this for the last month or so.
Just to remember, can we just have a reminder of what you asked for last year?
It was I was asking for imagery to go with my tabletop role-playing game that I would like, a commissioned piece of artwork.
Nice and simple.
And it was wonderful, a really lovely thing. This year, so I've realised I've got to the point where I have a lot of Audible books left. Other audiobook services are available. They're just worse. I've got a lot of audiobooks outstanding.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And so what I would like...
Record me an audiobook.
At double speed.
What I would like is I would like an audiobook game. So something I can play on my PlayStation 4 or my PlayStation 5 or my Steam Deck that I can play. And as a reminder, an audiobook game is a game that has minimal reading. It's basically something to do while you listen to the audiobook. The audiobook is the important bit. Yeah. The game is the bit to play. There you go. Skate is a really good example of an audiobook game. You can turn all the music off, all the sound off, and you can skate around and have a lovely time while listening to Chaucer. So yeah, that is what I would like. Audiobook game, PS4, PS5, or Steam Deck.
I think that's the most sensible idea you've ever given.
I said I've been thinking about it for a month because I always feel terrible that I turn up and apparently the things I'm asking for are difficult. So this year I thought, right, I will make someone's life. That's partly my gift to whoever it is that's purchasing for me, that they don't have to work their butts off.
Chris can't join us, but he's left us this note.
Hi, chaps. Okay, so for my Secret Santa this year, can I have a graphic novel that is a mystery? It could be a whodunit, it could be a murder mystery of some sort, but a graphic novel that belongs to the mystery genre. Love you, take care, and compliments of the season.
Lovely.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
That's a lovely Chris thing to get.
Thanks, Chris.
Right. I want either of you two to, in a fair and balanced way, 26-sided dice don't exist, but if there's some sort of application on the web that can pick me a random letter from the alphabet, please.
Yep. Odds probability calculator.
I've got a spinner.
It's whoever gets me the letter first.
I've got one.
C.
Oh.
C. Right, C. Right. The letter is C. Here we go. Santa, I would love you to walk into any branch of CEX that you like. I would like you to go to the DVD section.
Oh, God.
And I would like you to buy me 3 films in the C section of that branch of CEX. They do not have to value or accumulate to a value of £20. You've just got that money in your pocket left over. That is my gift to you. But what I'm looking for is 3 films, or could be TV shows as well. Money goes far in CEX.
It does.
But 3 DVDs from the C section of your local branch of CEX. That is what I would like for my Secret Santa.
That's incredible.
That's
an
good
amazing shout. That's an amazing shout. Yeah.
Thanks. At first, the original was spend all 20 quid, but when you realise most DVDs are like 50p,
yeah,
that could have been a lot.
That could have been a lot of movies to watch. My God.
Yeah.
Well.
We'll be back on the next show and we'll reveal what Santa got.
Just wanted to say before we clock off, because it is a job. Just wanted to say a big thank you to listener Robin, who got in touch with us about Snack Mountain, asked us about Snack Mountain, wanted more information, wanted to implement a Snack Mountain in their home games. I do hope that our advice to you was useful. And if you would like our advice on how to eat whilst playing tabletop games, you can get in touch with us on stayingpod@gmail.com, just like Robin did. You can also send us a message via, I guess you could probably DM us on Instagram. We also have we do have a Facebook, by the way, although I don't know how many people use that. And Instagram's the one that we really like. We've also got a BGG page, which has got all of the board games that we've ever covered on our podcast from every episode ever. The ones that we cover there. And we also have a Steam page, Steam curator page. If you want to follow our curator page, that would be really, really helpful because it basically literally embeds our recommendations into your version of Steam. So you're more likely to see things that come up on the podcast that we've talked about and probably quite liked. And there's a little blurb about it and all that stuff. And then you can link out. It's a lovely little thing. I'm very proud of the little Steam curator. I think it's very good. What else we got? Chris is probably going to update the Spotify playlist. What do you think he'll add to this one?
Some lovely stuff from The Witcher, I'd expect.
We could stick some wrestling music on there.
Yeah, the Rock's entrance music.
Any good music from Skate?
Do you know what? That's one of the things that made me go, somebody really cares about this. Yeah, there's a really good, some pretty deep cuts in the Skate soundtrack. Some good punk rock in there, which I'm very, very pleased with. So maybe, I don't know, pop some Rancid in there, Chris, or I don't know, some other, or Bad Religion. You know what? Put some Bad Religion in there better. We also appreciate your reviews and ratings. They don't do anything apparently, but that is a nice thing to do if you're subscribed to us on wherever it is that you're listening to this. And obviously, follow us, subscribe to us, whatever it is. The thing that allows you to get a notification from us for free when our next episode is out. We're not asking for your money.
You could write for WWE.
Yeah. Well, and what we'll do is off air we'll have a big fight.
No, you meant to have it on air. That's
I see. That's why I'm not a WWE writer.
Right, that'll do.
Take care.
Take care.